Good evening, everybody. We have quite the turnout for our meeting today. This is our regular meeting for September 20th, 2022. We have one amendment to the agenda and it's under correspondence. So it will be number 7, and we'll do it after the Community Services Francis Ave letter. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Councillor Burtis, all in favor? Carried. A motion to adopt the draft minutes from the Committee of the Whole meeting of September 6th, 2020.
Make a motion to adopt those minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Slager.
Second it.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Any questions?
I have a couple of things. In CAO report, from last time, it says that the admin is planning a 25th anniversary open house for the September 30th or October 1st. I would just like to remind that September 30th is National Truth and Reconciliation Day, so we should avoid having any events on that day out of respect for that. That was just a question I have for later. Councillor Open Forum, I am quoted as saying, sorry, inquired about district heat and if the municipality is looking at using it as a secondary heat source. What I actually said or intended to say was, are we looking at acquiring or installing a secondary heat source for in the event that district heat is not an option. And then I just had one question. Maybe I'm just noticing this now, or maybe it's never been the way we did things, but should the minutes reflect what the bylaws actually are that are stated in here? So if it just says like bylaw 2205, it doesn't actually say in the minutes anywhere like what that was. You'd have to like reference back to, you know, wherever to find that. So I'm just not sure if has it always been like this or.
Probably, but I'm sure we could provide a reference to that, you know, to explain it within the entirety of minutes.
Just, I don't know.
Something for,
Yeah, that's all. Please.
yeah, just sorry, a little housekeeping. So CAO Lockwood is on holidays till October 4th, and Shannon is taking a leave just for personal reasons. So that means Stephanie in charge. As for your comment about September 30th, there's been developments on that day and that we won't be able to have an open house on that day. So
Okay.
we have to look at a different date.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. And any other questions about the minutes? All in favor? Carried. Motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $81,729.57.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Thank you, Councillor Burtis. Any questions?
I have a couple. Let me go first. Okay,
Sure.
60690.
These are going to be tough to answer without,
Oh, yeah.
without Shannon or Cam, but what we decided we'll do is we'll write the questions down and we'll have the answers to you as soon as possible. Shannon is coming in and out on occasion, so she can answer for you.
We could also
I
wait until the.
You can table the payables if you want.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that.
let's do
Maybe we
that.
should do
Yeah,
that. That makes more
just-
sense.
You want to make
I will motion to table the payables till our next council meeting,
October 4th.
October 4th.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Carried. All right, number 4 on our agenda is Mr. Jordan Stackhouse. We missed you. Welcome back. Had a good summer.
Oh, yeah. It was great.
Yes.
Stayed in Whitehorse, worked really hard. Yeah, mostly guys. It was a bit of a grind this summer, and I know you have a lot on your agenda, so it's nice to see you all, and I hope you all had a really good summer too. We'll catch up another time.
Great.
But I just wanted to just pop in and talk about just really briefly, like update council on a couple, really one project and then a very small update on the strategic planning stuff. And just get any feedback from council, kind of let you know where we're at with the project, what's going to happen next. And it's the project is the NLC. I guess how it's being conceptualized right now is a projector replacement. That's kind of the gravitas for getting this work done. However, in order to access funds to get the projector done, you have to spend more money to do a business plan. So that's where I've come in, and I'm working with a colleague named Karen Furlong, who's a civil engineer. And we've also working with Gord Sunby locally, and Northern Front Studio, who's an architecture firm. So what our plan is with the NLC business kind of side of this is, I think the funders are interested in kind of like the numbers. So of course we're going to do that. We're going to look at the historical numbers. We'll do financial projections for the facility based on, data and stuff like that. But the other part, which I'm kind of more interested in and which I'm talking to you about today more, is the engagement aspect of this and how, I guess, the community looks at this piece of infrastructure. Well, it's a valued piece of community infrastructure. Let me just put it that way. It's not just a piece of infrastructure. And we've certainly had lots of conversations with some people already, and I'll just kind of let you know a few people we've had the opportunity to talk to. Just briefly, we were meant to make an in-person visit this week, actually, and I wasn't feeling well. Hand, foot, and mouth is going around our house, so I couldn't come. But anyways, just some of the local user groups. So Johnson Elementary, Watson Lake Secondary School, the daycare, the campus for Yukon University, Queer Yukon, who leases space in there, the VIC, the Watson Lake Creative Playgroup, Watson Lake Family Center, public health, and also some residents have expressed interest as well in meeting with us and discussing this. And it's been really great. I'll say so far, because we're just really talking about how the Northern Light Center has been historically used, like what the opportunities are for it, locally and both to tourists as well. And how that place can remain a really valued community asset. With Northern Front coming onto this project, we are going to provide a functional plan for this that looks not only at how everything's laid out and built right now, but as you guys replace your projector and then want to move on to the next thing to ensure that you guys have this valued community asset for a long time, what are those next steps and kind of what are we looking at? So that's some of the work that we're also looking at as well within this, as well as we're going to get a building condition assessment done on the facility. And we've been in contact with Spitz about the projector, and just safe to say, the ball is rolling. Our initial visit was meant to come down and meet with local users, and then Northern Front will be doing a broader public meeting, and there'll be lots of advertising and stuff for that where the whole community will be invited, and we'll make sure to do something as well with council directly, whether that's at a meeting or a special meeting to just address that. But it's a really great project, and I can tell you just initially, there's a lot of enthusiasm around the Northern Light Center. I don't want to say that's surprising, but it's great to see that the passion and opportunity, frankly, that people see with that, and that and people are really pleased that the town is choosing to invest funds in it. So I think it's a really great project, and I'm pleased to be a part of it, and happy to answer any questions about that before I move on to a small update on strategic planning.
I would just say thank you for taking the time to look into that. We do appreciate that asset, and we see the value it has, and I'm glad that we're going to explore some avenues to see it succeed. COVID was hard on it, and I know that it has a lot of potential. So I think we got the right guy for the job, and I know that you're gonna do your due diligence to make sure that it does a great job. Have you looked into tourist groups or found a way to access information from passerbys? Or
Yeah, so that's, we can certainly look at the historic, like the tourism data that YG provides, as well as the records that the VIC keeps. And I think, and of course, you guys have sales data from the Northern Lights Center itself, and we had a big blip during COVID, so I would say that's a bit of an outlier. But absolutely, one aspect we really want to look at is like of course, the rubber tire traffic, but also who's in your kind of trade area. And I won't get into the kind of technical details of that, but kind of defining a specific boundary of people who generally do commerce in Watson Lake, and like identifying who those people are, how many there are of them, and what they're looking for. That's some of the work that we'll be looking at as well.
I didn't hear, did you inquire with the local First Nation about any input they would like to have, or how they feel about how it's run, or if they can be a part of the progress?
Absolutely. Yeah. So another associate, Andre, who's not here this evening, she is running the aspect of setting up the meetings and stuff. And I know she has reached out to the First Nation. I'm not sure, I can't say exactly where that's at, but it's very early days for this project. I think we just kind of kicked off before Cam went on holidays, so about 2 weeks ago. And we're looking at about a 3 or 4 month timeline. So there'll be ample opportunity for the First Nation to engage. And of course, like, this project wouldn't be complete without their input. And if they are interested in something broader, we would certainly provide that feedback back to the town so you guys can discuss that.
Okay. I just had a little comment to add with that. I had dreams of having a newer video created with, First Nation in mind, living underneath Northern Lights, and, creating a heritage piece that, encompasses the whole region. I think it would be great.
Makes sense, right? Yeah.
So
Yeah. So like, this is the kind of great feedback that we haven't quite got yet from the community, because we're just not there in our process. But I know when we go and talk to everyone, really go and talk to everyone, and not just have kind of initial 5 or 10 minute conversations, that we're going to hear a lot of great ideas. And I'll be excited to bring those back to council.
Awesome.
And the First Nation to discuss, right? Everybody's included in this. It's a valued community asset for everyone.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Thanks, Jordan. Next, the strategic plan.
Yeah, I just a little bit on that, guys. Like Cam agreed to my suggestion of looking at how we can operationalize the actions of your guys' strategic plan within the organization. And that really involves like working a little bit more with the managers and directors and the staff that really implement the work, and figure out how it is these things can fit into their work plan, and how they can deliver on the strategic items that council's identified. And so there's a little bit of a progression to this. I would say it's a maturation of the organization. So I think the ultimate goal is that in the future, that managers and directors can take responsibility for strategic items that council's identified, come and report on those items, right? And not have necessarily just one person within the organization that kind of has the only like skills and ability and knowledge to do that. So it's a couple things. It's operationalizing and implementing and integrating your guys' strategic plan within the organization, which I think is great. And the other thing too is seeing, if we can bring the organization along just a little bit in terms of, and I wouldn't be saying the organization is unprofessional by any means, but in terms of its professionalism, and having the directors interface report directly with council, and that kind of thing. And Cam's really interested in exploring that. So that's the work we're doing to just finish up your strategic plan. It's not a big amount of work or anything, but I just wanted to let you know.
Well, that's great. That's exciting to hear, because I think you're right on the money there. It's good.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just want to be respectful of your guys' time, and I know you have a full agenda, so I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm also happy to just go away.
I don't have any more questions.
I don't have
Is there any
any
questions
questions.
from council? No, I think you're off the hook.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you. We appreciate
Awesome.
your time. Thank you again for everything.
Yeah.
Lots of
Hey,
fun.
guys, just a last plug. There's a mental wellness summit happening tomorrow. I don't know if you guys know about that, but they offer it virtually too. It's through YG. I'm going to attend in person here in Whitehorse, but it looks like there's some really great content, and just thought I'd flag that for you guys.
Thanks, Jordan.
Don't we have something on the 24th at the rec center for ages 12 to 29?
I don't know.
Mhm.
Sorry, sidebar, guys. Okay, I'm going to
Okay.
sign off. Thanks, and good luck with the rest of your meeting. Okay,
Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate it.
yeah, bye.
Okay, moving right along. Next on our agenda, we have Miss Button Walters. Are you there, Button?
Hello,
Hi, Button.
hi guys.
Council has received your email and all your
Awesome.
information. At this point, you know, we're between a rock and a hard place because it isn't, it's more of a, it's more of a one-off situation. I know that it is difficult in the place that you're in. We are going to explore avenues as to what can be done or what maybe other municipalities are looking into. Did you have any other comments that you'd like to add?
No, if you just watch a video, I think that's self-explanatory, and I'm just going nuts over here. It's 1 year. He's feeding them 3 times a day. The owner of the home, she just thinks it's nothing's wrong with it. And conservation will not budge. They want me to take a video of him, and I refuse to do that as I'm single, and the guy I don't think is all there. And I think really, if we could persuade them to put up their game cams and take their own bloody video, they'd see that he's feeding wildlife, which is part of their wildlife act, that it's illegal.
Okay.
Oh my,
Okay, well, we definitely understand your angst, Button, and we will endeavor to look into whatever we can do. You know, I know that you're requesting a bylaw of some action. It's a one-off situation, like I said. So we will definitely explore. I can't make any promises. Is there any other comments, Lauren?
Yeah, I'd just like to add that I think I'd like to see us write a letter to Wildlife or Conservation, whatever department it is, asking exactly what is the law on this, and what tools they have to address something like this, and who has the authority over birds. Their feeding, their health, whatever it is, get that in writing actually from their department, because right now everything unfortunately is hearsay, including their conversations back and forth. We are missing a piece of whatever, but then at least we have something official from their department. And then we can maybe go from there. I think that it's worth just starting with asking those questions. The other point I would just like to add is in the first line of this, and this is, we don't know if this is true or not, but it says it is a B&B, that maybe they're running a business out of that house. And I'm curious to know if they have a business license and or if the zoning permits that. So I feel like we should investigate that.
Okay.
Anyway,
It's good.
side note.
And yes, we will do that. We will write a letter to Environment and Fish and Game regarding the situation, and we will inquire with administration, and they'll get back to us on the B&B, quote unquote. I don't know if it's a bed and breakfast or if it's lodgings. Find out. Any other questions, comments?
Well, further to what Lauren said, I completely agree with writing the letter to Fish and Wildlife. I think whatever they say, and unless the next door neighbor is moving or Button is moving, there needs to be some sort of resolution, right? Whether it's legal or enforced or just a sit down. Button, is there any appetite on your part to have a mediator come in at all? To put what's it's like, look, here's the law that says you can't do this or you can't do that. And, you know, to have someone to put the issue to bed, if you will, like, is there any appetite on your part to have someone come in and try to cross that bird?
Thomas, thank you. I got no problems with that, period. But, you know, conservation is when, I mean, I'm bugging the shit out of them. That I'm sorry for my language, and I'm begging them, as I'm begging you, to make this stop. I mean, it's illegal. And I got no problem with that whatsoever.
Okay. Yes, so for the letter, that and, excellent. Thank you for working with everyone on this button.
No worries. I just want it to end. I mean, I spend hundreds of hours in my yard, and that's all I'm listening to. This is worse than torture.
Can we sample the video?
We can't, I don't think it'll play on here. We tried earlier.
I wasn't able to open it.
Yeah.
You weren't able to open it?
Right, no.
I was.
We can't get it on this computer though.
Okay.
Is there any other comments?
I like the idea of writing a letter. I too had thought about the process and what conservation actually is their responsibility and what their regulations were. So, yeah, but I like the idea of actually writing a letter and getting that. I hadn't thought about that part of it, but yeah, I do.
I didn't agree. Okay, so what we'll do, Button, as everybody's in agreement, we'll write out a good description of what's going on. Next door, we'll get some feedback from Fish and Game Conservation. And if there's action to be taken, then we'll reach out to the homeowner and yourself to follow up.
Okay, super.
Okay, thank you, Button.
Yeah.
Appreciate
No,
it.
thank you for taking time to listen to my complaint.
That's what we're here for.
Thanks, guys. You have a wonderful evening.
All right, thanks, Button.
Bye.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the Francis Ave Community Services letter. It's quite extensive. But the letter is regarding the placement of a lift station on 6th Street. There's some discrepancies on where the two maps line up. So we actually have Michael Prouse on the line. Michael, are you there?
I am, yep. I don't know how much I can help with this, but if you have questions, happy to try.
Sure. So the correspondence that we got, it's asking us to confirm zoning block 61, lots 1 through 5. And then when we have a different map, the lift station lines up in a different location. So I don't know if you can get some clarification on that for us.
Yeah, I can. I can get back to you tomorrow on that one. I don't have any clarification that I can offer right now, though. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. And we were talking about it earlier, Councilor Slater.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. I'm gonna say just so that he knows what information he's looking for. To let him know that it's right across from, so it's still on 6th Street, but right across from the lot 7 on block 22. On the other map is where the lift station is right there, but then it's kind of two different questions. So it's lift station and it's zoning.
Yeah,
But they want the zoning for the lift station. They wanted to make sure it's corresponding, right? So that we can put the lift station in that zoning.
I think
read that.
if, without looking at the zoning map, I believe that that's our, that area is our, what do you call it? We can't, like,
It's a reserve
yes, so our water,
camp.
our water,
There-
source can't be contaminated by.
So I think what I discussed with Tiffany, and because we don't have either Shannon or Cam here, Cam's probably gonna be the guy that we need to discuss this with. He's gonna have to provide some feedback on this discussion. Because he's probably talked to Wyans about this and we need to have more detail before we can make any kind of decision. We reached out to Kevin Fisher, who is the gentleman who wrote this letter with request, and he said that there's no time constraint, so if everybody's fine with that.
I'll make a motion to table this till the October 4th meeting.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilor Hanchar, thank you, Councilor Paquette. Any more questions?
No.
I will add that it's exciting that they're interested in putting in the lift station. That's about it.
Start.
It's a start. Okay,
I mean, something.
so thank you for that. Number 7 is the amendment, which is the letter from Mount Nation or the Ski Club. I'll just read it aloud. We are writing you today to request use of this town skid steer for the brushing program at Mount Nation Hill. We estimate the time required may be up to 75 hours, and we are willing and able to accommodate the use around the schedule of the town maintenance crew. As in the past, the club assumes responsibility for any damages or repairs that may be required during our use of the town's property. We request that a walkthrough and completed with the Hill President Dale McMillan and a town employee to ensure that both parties involved are satisfied with the machine upon return.
Have they borrowed this from us before?
Yes.
I'm in favor of it. It's
I don't have a
our,
problem.
it's our asset too. And if they're willing to do it. Maybe fools not to take them up on it.
I believe in the past, that's what we've done. Tiffany checked with Public Works leader today, and he said that yes, last year they used it. And they did the walkthrough with Dale and everything was.
And there's no problems, obviously.
So if you guys are in favor, I need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve the ski hills request, the ski club's brusher mower request. I'll second.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Councillor Slater, and thank you, Councillor Burdess. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Moving right along. CAO report. Because we don't have a CAO, that lovely little write up here provided to me that I will go through. From the admin building, Cam and Shannon or Cam is away. Shannon is the acting CAO. She is in the office, but she is just coming in and out. YG's Rugged Apprentices program went ahead on Watson Lake, hosting 7 volunteers. September 7th to the 10th, the volunteers worked at the signpost forest doing garbage cleanup, trail maintenance, laying crush, and removing the replacing ineligible signs. All in all, it was a success pilot project, and the town is thinking about other ways we can participate in the future if YG continues the program. All volunteers had an amazing first trip to the Yukon, with all planning to make trips here again in the future. Thank you to Councillor Hanchar and Councillor Slager for participating in the community tour and campfire. A project summary and financial report is being included. I will just quickly mention, thank you to Tiffany Lund for all your extra effort in hosting this volunteer group and also lining all the work up and everything. So thank you for all of that. Did a great job.
Agreed.
Glenn has been working with Banff Signs on the sign and municipal services building. 2 proofs have come back for review and approval. Tiffany is working with LFN's language director to ensure that the Casca portion is correct. The proofs were provided in the meeting package for council's reference. LFN is ordering a plaque that they would like to install next to the sign, which will give a background on the name and how it is determined, as well as a QR code that people can scan, which will translate the Casca name. Yeah. Yukon Archives is visiting the town office this week to do a site visit and discuss record retention schedules with Tiffany and Shannon. From the Public Works Department, hydrant and valve flushing, September 20th to 22nd. Residents may experience discoloration of water. Yukon government surveyors in town doing various street right of ways this week. A public notice went out. There have been issues with the excavator at the landfill. The Brant mechanic is currently in Dawson. So Public Works is arranging to have the mechanic stop in Watson Lake on his way back through to troubleshoot. Cap has been hauled to the landfill this week. Roof repairs are almost complete at the rec center. The contractor ran out of materials and will be back to finish once materials come in. The cement pad for the NLC fuel tank was completed. And Glenn met with Highway Department today regarding the various highway right-of-way and traffic safety concerns that the town has brought forward. An update will be provided to council later. From Parks and Rec, Simcoe upgrades are being completed this week. Simcoe training will take place with the rec staff after system installation is complete. Ice installation will depend on the completion of this project and the lighting upgrade project. The contractor is waiting on the delivery of lights for the lighting upgrades in the arena. The rec department is currently down 3 staff members for various unexpected reasons due to the NLC. Due to this, the NLC open house will need to be postponed. Inman is working with the rec to set a new date. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The CASCA translation, is it the exact, like, Public Works? What does it translate into? Because I was looking at it, I was trying to break it down and I was like, that's not,
I have to look it up. There's no CASCA words for municipal or public works for fire department, like those are all words that just don't exist in the CASCA language. So I have to look up exactly what it is. I can send that to you guys, but it's a roundabout way of like people who help take care of us or something along those lines.
okay.
I can get it to you though.
I think that's the purpose of the plaque, right?
I know, but I was just curious, like, not to be surprised if I go there and like, you are going, like.
That's okay. All right. Any questions about the CAO report?
I think just I think for the people in the audience there, they underestimate the effort that actually went in because Miss Tiffany Lund there was at work till midnight on several nights, didn't get back from the hot springs till 12:30 or something. Didn't, the camping thing that we were involved in, just for one night was close to 11 or midnight, it's when that was all said and done, because they're hoping for some northern lights, but like, and the organization of it all, and like from 8 in the morning till midnight on like 3 different nights in a row, and it was a lot, and I think more than, I don't know.
Yeah, really good job.
So. Well done, Tiffany. It was. People don't know how much it takes to get that all done, and I do, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to what is number 9, the Association of Yukon Communities. Councillor Henshaw and Councillor Paquette, you have a quick brief overview of how your weekend went?
Yes, it's brief. So for those who don't know, Danina, Councillor Paquette, and myself went to travel to CarMax this weekend to take part in the quarterly AYC board meeting. This is our first one in person, and I think Councillor Paquette's first one ever. We are still working out how the best way for us to deliver these reports, so bear with us. This one's a little rough around the edges, but if there's anything missing, I'll get it to you later. That being said, I'm going to throw it to Councillor Paquette to start us off.
Okay, yeah, so the AYC meeting was this year held in CarMax. I've never been to CarMax, cute little community. So yeah, and that was on September 17th. The meeting was called to order, and Minister Mostyn, he was the first one on the agenda that addressed the board and the group, and gave a brief summary of what community services have been up to or involved in the last quarter, and talked about a lot of flooding that had occurred in a lot of the communities. He talked about then promptly after that, there was forest fire season. And so a lot of it, he really commended the communities for being quite prepared for the flooding, you know, anticipating that it was going to happen. And gave Teslin, that was something that Teslin had really thought about a lot. So there was a lot of preparedness going on, which is a commendment to the communities for sure. Council term extensions. So remember at our general board meeting that we had, that everybody, so there's been some work done and some responses given in respect to the term extensions, in respect to what else we talk about?
The extension being 3 years to 4 years.
Yeah,
4 years, yep. Oh, sorry.
I'll just read that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So at the AYC AGM in May, it was decided by the board that it is still a priority for the organization to pursue an increase of term for mayor and council from 3 to 4 years. The board elected to partner with YG on this issue and have YG create an online survey to determine whether there is support for a term extension from the public. Assuming there is support from the public, YG would have to make some changes to the municipal act in the legislature, which would ideally be completed before the next municipal election. At this point, YG is still waiting for feedback from municipalities and Yukoners, which will determine the next steps. On that note, the public survey is still active, and I believe it is active until the 30th. So just a reminder for all of you to complete the survey, and anybody listening or in the gallery, if you can please complete that survey, because that feedback is going to be really helpful to determine how we go forward with this. And then when Minister Mostyn was addressing the room, he wasn't asking us to decide or really anything, but he did ask that the board and the municipalities consider the idea of moving municipal elections from fall to the spring, because occasionally there are many elections happening at the same time, which can result in voter fatigue. So that was just a point that he wanted us to think over for possible discussion in the future.
Part of our discussion there too was that the municipalities are often doing their budgets at that time, so it's not really specifically a good time for us to potentially embark on that in the fall. In the spring. That's spring, sorry. Okay, yeah. So in respect to COVID, there was conversation about, Mostyn had mentioned that there's no funds that were actually included in the spring budget funding really. But it is something that they're still sort of looking at, and they would like to know where we had deficits, but they also would like to know where we actually saved money. So they're trying to, and he commented that a lot of municipalities were like, really? You know, people still want COVID money. We didn't, you know, so he's kind of looking at it like, anyway, so. Better Build program was talked about.
Sorry, can I just one quick point? It was also mentioned to Minister Mostyn that perhaps the municipalities would need some support if they were required to provide all that information regarding the COVID relief funding further to what we've already provided, just because it's a lot of work to have our administration dig up if in fact the answer is going to be no at the end of the day. So thanks.
Sure. No, that's fine. And then, so there was talk about the Better Build program and that the program is coming along well. Currently, the progress of setting up the program and agreements with the individual municipalities. Economy, he had been to Ontario and there was lots of closed signs and windows boarded up for businesses. He said that we don't see this here in the Yukon. We have lots of projects going on all over the Yukon, and they can't find enough workers for all of them, which the minister says is indicative of our white hot economy. We have an 8% growth, one of the lowest unemployment rates, construction all over the Yukon, and there are accommodation and employment issues, lots of staff shortages. He acknowledged that housing is an issue all across the Yukon, and municipalities of YG are working together on lot development. AYC was successful after their third round of a competition for a new executive director, which is Shelley Hazard from the village of Teslin, who will start her role on October 17th.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Excited to see her name for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great news.
What position?
The executive director of AYC.
Okay.
Anything more?
That's great.
Okay, so I have one more. Sorry, question. So one thing that we've been working on are some policy papers for the association. And I'm just going to read this so I don't say the wrong thing. I'm just going to read this top portion from one of the papers that was actually drafted by AYC hired Elevator Yukon to create these documents. And so we're still in the process of, they're in the draft phase, so we're still in the process of reviewing them and whatnot. But so the Association of Yukon Communities developed a series of policy discussion papers to analyze, discuss, and adopt focused policy positions for the organization. The purpose for this analysis and the exercise of developing clear and relevant policy is fourfold. To better understand the root causes and areas of concern that the membership have directed to the organization to evaluate. To better serve and represent the association's membership, to create a roadmap for action for the AYC staff and executive, and to make measurable progress on the membership's priorities. So just so that the organization can have some solid policy positions on certain items. So there have been, topics. So there have been draft policy papers created for the following topics: housing availability and affordability, sustainable infrastructure, managing growth, staff retention, and climate change. So those were the 5 topics that were deemed to be of the highest importance of those who participated in that in their activity at the AGM. So Elevator, Yukon, and AYC are requesting further engagement and feedback on these policy papers. So I am going to email the documents to Tiffany, and she'll hopefully put them in the counselor folder for everyone's review. It sounds like the plan is for there to be individual focus groups for each of the papers at a date to be determined in the future, or something like that. So we'd appreciate your feedback on the papers and or participation in the focus groups whenever they happen. So if you guys could have a look at those and let us know what you think.
Is there a timeline or a deadline or some sort of
I'm not sure on that yet.
goal on it?
I believe that, I don't know, I'll have to get back to you.
Okay,
I think the concept was is they were gonna do like, look at one and for an hour, you know, over like a lunch or something. That was kind of something that.
Yeah, like it hasn't been decided exactly what it's gonna look like yet, but I think one of the ideas that was thrown out was that, like Councillor Briquette had said, that you have like maybe a lunch meeting where you look at one topic and then another one, like one for each of the things, so that you're just looking at the one paper rather than 5 at the same time.
okay,
Yeah. But
that's okay. Right,
sorry.
appreciate all the feedback.
Yeah, not a problem. So we could probably add a few more things, but I'll just. That's. The gist.
That's.
Yes.
Good.
Did you have anything further to add?
No, well, I mean, I'm always too wordy on my right now.
Right. That's all for now.
That's a lot of information. That's good. And then there will take some time to look at those policies and
Absolutely.
put some
Yeah.
effort in supporting your guys' action there.
Thank you so much.
Elevator Yukon is busy.
Yes.
Good.
But I do have to say, every community is really, really busy. Like there's a lot going on. Like,
Oh, yeah.
in Mayo, they were, not Mayo, sorry, Carmax. They were like, they were building their arena and they're working on their fire hall, emergency response and fire protection, all in the same building. They're working on that as well. So there's a lot going on.
What's the project happening?
So I will add to that, we're probably the host of the next AYC AGM in the
We-
spring.
Yes, I believe that's still the plan. So
So we'll have to look forward to being prepared for that. Good.
4 years in the making.
Yeah, we've been prepared several times. Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Paquette and Councillor Hanchar. Great. Next in the agenda is number 10. First and second reading of bylaw 2022-07, the CAO bylaw. Questions, comments? Councillor Slager.
10.3 on the existing bylaw is in contradiction with the council code of conduct. Whereas the council code of conduct states on 10.11, notwithstanding the clause, it is understood and agreed that all council members shall be free to engage the town of Watson Lake staff members with specific operational questions, and that staff members are permitted to answer questions or direct them to the supervisor or CAO. Any relevant information resulting from the questions should be forwarded to the rest of the council and the CAO. That's in our council code of conduct. In this bylaw, it states, except as otherwise provided by statute, this or other bylaw, resolution, or collective agreement, and other than for the purpose of inquiry, the members of council shall not communicate with any officer or employee of the town except to the CAO. Now, there's probably some legalese in there that maybe I'm just not picking up on, but I feel an understanding is pretty well. But I don't like the fact that it says that I can't communicate with any employee of the town except the CEO, meaning like, but I can't talk to Robbie, my next door neighbor over the fence now?
So I think you should just hope that we can get some clarification on section 10.3 of the CAO bylaw.
I'd like it either just written in plain English.
Okay.
Because we already have mechanisms to talk, like, I understand the Gordon McIntosh story of CAO and the hourglass. We are taught there, and all the information is supposed to flow through that one middle choke point. However, what this is doing, I feel severely limits us as a council and just people in general to question, right? I'm not saying that we're gonna question everything, but here's the thing, like, a CEO isn't gonna come to council like, hey, guys, I really dropped the ball on whatever it may be. They're not gonna tell on themselves. They might, but chances are they won't. Most people
But I'm
don't.
pretty sure there's also some sort of protocol in place where if somebody has a problem with the CAO, that they go to the mayor and report it. They don't talk to anybody over the fence about it. Like,
No, I'm
there's
not
a
talking about that, but this is like, if you were to like take it verbatim, it says that I'm not allowed to talk to an employee. That's what it says.
Yeah, you can have, so I think,
I'm not asking them to clear my driveway. I'm not asking for special favors. I'm just saying, like,
no. We're still all community members. The reality is you're still gonna see people at the store. You're still gonna see them around. You're not supposed to just put your head down and ignore that they're there. You just have to know what's appropriate to talk about and what's not. And if they try to talk to you about things that are related to council, then you say, I'm sorry, this is who you should talk to about that because it's inappropriate for you to engage in that conversation, given your capacity as councillor.
but if you're, as your capacity as counselor also, if there's something that, hey, I don't know if you guys know about this on council, but this is what's going on, you should know about this. So then I come back to council, I'm like, hey, guys, I just heard about this, I need to find out whether or not this is true. And then, if we approve this as it stands, then they can say, where did you get that information from? Well, you're in violation of your council code of conduct because you didn't take this information from here and there. And due to the sanctions that you guys voted to impose upon yourselves, now you're the one who's actually gonna get your hand slapped for doing the right thing. That's wrong. You're taking away your ability to do your job by limiting. I'm not saying that I'm not gonna, like, if you looked at the town's history in general, the reason why we have those crazy manager contracts is because there was a bunch of councils back in the day that were like, you're gonna do my driveway and you're gonna do this and you're gonna, and they were making demands on people that work for the town because they felt they could, right? And so the manager contracts were brought in and the unions brought in as a way to protect employees. Well, by doing this, you're doing a disservice to yourself to do your job properly because you're limiting the avenues of information you can take. And all I'm saying is either reword it, because we already have it in the council code of conduct. The CAO is in charge of all the employees. Granted, good enough, great, awesome, fly at it. But, why would you pigeonhole yourself? All I'm asking is that either we reword 10.3.
I just don't know what you need to ask the staff about. Like what?
I don't know either, but you know what? Maybe one day I do have a question and I don't want to have something that snacks my hand for me trying to do my
I feel
job.
like the first thing. I don't say this wrong, but I feel like the first thing you learn when you're elected and you start going through the training and stuff is that we don't have anything to do with personnel. And
Except our one employee,
exactly, which is the CAO.
right?
So
So,
why would you be talking to staff? But anyways,
because he could, really? That's like, because they're the ones that are gonna,
in this context,
in this contest,
In the seat that we're in,
yeah,
in
you
this,
should not be talking to staff.
well, unless,
with regards to
Here's-
municipal matters.
well, if it's municipal matters, it's like, okay, maybe it's a personality conflict, right? Let's just say that
That's
we,
not our problem.
no, it is a problem if that personality.
They go to the mayor, they
Okay, well,
complain to the mayor and he deals with it.
okay, well, they do that. Let's just say that, they can do whatever they want. And we can't do anything to stop them because, because if you dare speak out, you're gonna get sanctioned according to the council code of conduct. And this right here, I'm just saying, I'm asking you guys to reword it.
Okay.
We
Or
have to
get rid
trust
of
that the CAO is gonna be doing the job that
Maybe
we
this
hired
one,
them to
maybe not the
do.
next one, who knows? But if you're putting this isn't just for now, because we like.
You have to, yeah,
You have to trust them, yes, at the same time too, they have to trust them, like, I'm not looking to. You know, this is my third time getting elected into this chair here, and. The other part of it is. I'm just asking, I don't understand why you guys are so willing to just have such blind faith.
I don't think it's blind faith, Thomas. I think that we have to have a level of trust in our operations. We can't interfere, and this is setting the guidelines. It's setting some comfort levels for them to operate. If the CAO wasn't doing his job, then we should be able to recognize that within what we're doing and what we're hearing from him. It shouldn't be what the staff thinks of our CAO, because that's a totally different
also,
opinion.
sorry,
But okay,
if the staff has a problem with the CAO, they should be going to their union, actually. Is that not the actual process?
Yeah.
So, sorry, I
It's
didn't
an
point you.
internal issue. It's an internal issue. It's not our issue. Our issue is how we receive information from the CAO.
Fair enough,
That's
but,
it.
fair enough, but. Well, no, that's not it, because on the one hand, we're talking, and that's why we're having to go through and redo all these things, such as on the one piece of paper, it says. Oh, the CAO can only purchase something that's $20,000, another one says it's $25,000. Oh, we gotta make a match, so let's make a match, fair enough, great job, let's do that, let's clean this paperwork up. But the council code of conduct, which we recently had, and this is like, best thing ever, Slayer, why don't you like this? We gotta have this, and in one thing it says that you're allowed to voice your opinion freely, you can. Respect other people's opinions, please be open-minded about things, that you can be free to engage the employees as long as it's, here's the thing though, as long as it's doing stuff like, you're not doing it to just be a gossip monger and just starting colloquial shit, right? That's why I said colloquial.
Okay.
Means slang.
Still, I
Anyway,
understand where you're coming from, Thomas, but it's very clear on here, and I don't think that we have,
but
like,
it contradicts.
well, if you're asking for some clarification on the contradiction, then that's okay. Is that what you're asking for?
I want
that's
to,
what we'll provide.
okay, what I want is it clarified? And I want it to be non-contradictory with the council code of conduct.
Sure.
Because the one that says I'm free to engage and like use freedom of speech and talk to people and exercise all the democratic values in the world. And the other one that says I'm Muslim. So which one is it?
So we need some clarification on number 10.3 in the bylaw, CAO bylaw.
And what's the other, what's just, what point is it in our council, like, what's the, I just.
10.11.
In the actual bylaw?
10.11 is the other one,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
but 10.3 is the one in the CEO.
Yes.
Okay, 10.11, I just for I.
So we will request that administration re-look at 10.3 of the CAO bylaw for the next reading.
And please don't turn around and change 10.11 that we've already.
No, I just wanted to read the context, like,
Just what says I'm not free to engage.
no, I just wanted to read the context, like, of what you're talking,
In the
about. Just make
previous
sure.
council meeting, actually, there was, you'll see it, right?
Yep, that's where I'm at, and that's why I just want to make sure I was reading the right one.
How
That's all.
about, how about
Okay,
your thoughts?
I'm good right now. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Councillor Slager. Administration will look into point 10.3 of the CAO bylaw to clarify any contradicting comments between that and the code of conduct.
Yeah, because
And provide you with options to
there's
put in
two
there as,
ors. Okay, here's the other issue. There's two ors in that sentence, which indicates choice. And then there's a conjunction. There's.
okay, so they're gonna,
Poorly worded.
okay, they're gonna provide you with some options for 10.3, okay? Okay, great. Is there any more comments for the CAO bylaw?
No, thank you.
Councillor Paquette,
Don't think so, thank you.
did we want to do the first and second reading of this CAO bylaw? Sorry? Motion?
I'd like to move that we table to the October 4th meeting for further discussion.
Okay.
And
With clarification.
yeah, well, with the requested revisions.
Thank you, Councillor Hancher. Second,
I'll second, sorry.
thank you, Councilor Burtis. Any more questions or comments? All in favor?
That's fine, thanks.
Carried. Okay, number 11. Procurement policy. Questions, comments?
I'm curious where we got this from.
It went from 2 pages to 22.
It's also very. Wordy, I don't know, it's in. A language that was hard for me to read. I had to read this.
This came from the city of Dawson.
Okay.
It has been created for what's
Who created it?
just amended for any kind of discrepancies within Dawson and us. Ours was very short, very vague, not well defined
I
prior to this.
appreciate that, and I do have like a lot of different points that I truthfully would like to direct towards this, to the CAO. So I would not be upset with also tabling this bylaw.
I'll second that.
Sorry, I will move that we table this bylaw to the October 4th meeting
Okay.
for further discussion with the CAO present.
Thank you, Councilor Henshaw.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor Burtis. All in favor?
Thanks.
Alrighty. Okay. Rec Advisory Committee. We had one application. It's the Signpost Seniors for purchase of equipment, $4,000, bingo machine, shipping, exercise mats, weights, cards, games, shuffleboard, wax. Councilor Slager, you were,
I could speak to this.
yeah, please. If you can.
So, due to various people's schedules, having kids and all sorts of things, the vote was conducted by email. And whether it was they agreed or if they had any concerns, it passed unanimously. Due to the fact there was only one application and they got $4,000, and I think we get in the neighborhood, it varies in, it's around 120, what do we get for lotteries, 22, 4, somewhere in there? So we get like, yeah, so just above $20,000 for the record. And we only used up $4,000, and we only have the January intake coming up, I believe, to spend the remaining money, and there hasn't been a whole lot of applications come in. So my suggestion to the group was that we let the seniors know that maybe there's an opportunity if nobody's come forward. See, they have a wish list of $12,000 for everything from weights to bowling alley rentals to exercise stuff to a bingo machine, shipping, things to make their lives better. So if we hadn't spent the money anywhere else, that maybe perhaps we could let the seniors know that they don't have to do a bunch of bake sales. We could possibly top them up with some grant money at the end of it if we had used the funds, and if we did run into anybody else that had a group out there that needed equipment help, that we could.
And when do you have to have it in by, sorry?
Next intake is January 15th, is it not? So.
So you have to have an application before January 15th?
Yes, because that's when the group meets and
Okay.
looks at it, and there's a wide range for sports equipment for startup groups. I think it's $500 is the maximum that you can get, but if it's equipment wise, $4,000 is the general top end.
Okay.
And groups that have received, that have tapped into this pot of money in the past, like say, ski club, for instance. Then you have a new person coming up that has a great idea that wants to do like ninja classes, let's say, and so one will get a little bit more priority over the other because they're brand new starting out, where they've dipped into they've accessed these funds before quite a few times, so they want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to do it, or they'll say, okay, well, there's $6,000 you want four, how about both you take three?
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
they're pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
So we need a, sorry, Thomas.
Yeah, in this case, $4,000 was approved towards their replacing their aging bingo machine, and I think they're very happy about it.
So we need just a motion to approve these funding recommendations.
I'll make a motion to approve the funding recommendations by the rec advisory committee.
Thank you, Councillor Hatcher. Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Any more questions or comments? Did you want to add anything to that? Okay. All in favor? Carry. I agree with you. If the money's not being spent, that we should reach out to them and make sure they know that they can top that up.
Or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, moving on to Councillor Open Forum.
What about these?
You know, the signs.
Signs?
Those are just information in our council package.
Oh, because there was two different ones, and I wasn't sure which one we
Yeah.
were using.
No, that's just there for us to,
Okay.
But if
Yeah.
you had to go, which one would you like, one or two?
Oh, I don't know what we're. using.
I like the second colored one.
Really, I like the green, because our.
okay, so everybody in the public knows that we had reached out to BAMP Signs for for design of the municipal services building sign. There's two options. They're both really nice, I must say. I don't know, is there a way to pull them up on the screen, Tiff?
Yeah.
You'll just put them up. Everybody can see.
That would be option one.
Option one with the green outline. And then you have the emblems up top, Town of Watson Lake, all bold letters at the top. And then,
Option two.
It's number one for me. Those are our colors with the green,
but our building,
yeah.
our building is blue.
isn't it though?
I like the
How
shape.
convenient.
I like the shape of the sign, though. Shape of the sign on the second one I like.
So, yeah.
No, I mean, I wonder if you could make the colors different potentially.
You could probably make the
I
shape
like
of the
the one.
sign with green.
The green is.
Yeah, the green, I like the green, but with that sign.
Yeah, those are our colors. I feel like, I mean, I don't know where.
So everybody has this on their email, right?
Yep.
So if you go around and show everybody what these signs might look like and give Tiffany's feedback, that'd be great. Okay. Do some due diligence, make sure that you get a majority that want one thing, and we'll compile all that information so that Tiffany can make a very well-informed decision. And somebody will not be happy with it. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think both of them are really nice, so, you know.
Either one will look great.
Yeah, either one will look great. So, thank you, Tiff, for that. Any questions for Councilor Open Forum,
I have something I would like to add or mention.
please?
So, sorry, now I can't sit it out. Counselor Sligo and I had the opportunity, as previously mentioned, to tag along on some of the Rugged Apprentice activities. And at one point, we were out by the Welcome to Yukon sign across from Lucky Lake. And I would just like to say that it is in an embarrassing state, and that I would like to see us write a letter to whoever's responsible, either highways or tourism, and ask that that be replaced or at least fixed prior to next season, because like I said, it's embarrassing. It's like rotten and falling over, and it's like literally the first thing you see when you come to the Yukon, and I think that that needs to be fixed.
It's interesting, you should bring that up. I was attended the chamber meeting today and they brought up the same discussion about those highway signs, so we will.
Yeah.
For the highways department.
Thank you.
And bring it to the next council meeting for your approval
Okay,
regarding all that.
sounds good.
Right?
Can we go a step further and just fix it and give them a bill?
Yeah, right.
Don't think so. It's not. Is it in?
It wouldn't be that much, digging into the hole, putting them wood in.
They'll pay for it. We'll ask them. They will. Anything else?
Yeah.
It's open forum?
Yes. The townhouse that we own for the fire chief that's never gonna come. What are we doing with it? Why don't we rent it out? Make some money off it, turn it into a asset instead of a liability,
Going to compete with local rentals.
then let's sell it.
People look.
Then-
Because it's been empty for what, how many years?
Then we won't have anywhere to house somebody if we do find somebody in that professional.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
But the problem is, who are we competing with in the private sector when there's no place to rent?
Yeah, well,
It's a fair point. I would be curious to hear where we're at with the hiring, but we understand if we need to wait for Cam on that.
I mean, it's an administrative thing, so if there's something formal that you would like to request, then we can do so. I mean, we're not gonna make a motion at this point, because that would be
Yeah,
rash.
just, I'm just saying that because once upon a time, we did discuss what's on that house and agreed that, okay, well, this time when we get a fire chief, this was the discussion, if you recall. Once we get a fire chief, we're going to get him when he buys his own house, commits to Watson Lake, then we're gonna get rid of that house because Watson Lake, you know, yes, we need to attract place, but it's been sitting there costing us money, and from a financial perspective, you would get one more house on the market perspective. It just makes sense. We shouldn't be in the housing market, like you say.
Okay,
And it's interesting that you guys bring that forward because a lot of the municipalities have specific staff housing.
And it's encouraged.
And it is encouraged. And I'm saying to Lauren, oh, look at this. And I voted to not sell the townhouse, and right in this document, it is, encouraged that, and they do, they have, municipalities have that. So, yeah,
staff housing.
staff housing.
So I think,
Then we need more than one.
Anywho's,
I think we'll relay the question to CAO Lockwood when he returns. We'll ask for some administrative reports on that, and then we can discuss further as a group. I think maybe even bring I think we can handle it within our capacity to decide which way it goes.
Well, how about, sorry,
Go ahead.
or how about that when we're not using it, we rent it out? Make some money on it.
The only downside of that though, right, is if you all of a sudden hire somebody, then you're kicking somebody out.
or you get
I don't know, or unfavorable.
I was just gonna say, when we're trying to like do some repairs to potentially sell it, and then it just ends up, I think we need to think about that.
That's right.
But I see where you're coming from, 100%.
Okay, we will relay the information. I know that it's been a discussion, we've gone back and forth. Everybody has on both sides of the table for that house. So, I mean, it's really not an easy decision, but I think something has to be done with that house. And I agree with you. One way or another, we should utilize what it is instead of paying for heat, fixing it, letting it sit there empty when everybody's starving for a place to live. So we'll leave it at that. We'll ask for some administrative feedback on that for October 4th. October 4th is getting to be a long meeting.
That could go to the next one.
It's a committee of the whole, so
It's a committee of the whole, it's just a discussion, so.
for
Okay,
debate,
okay. Anything else for Councilor Open Forum?
not for me at this
No,
time.
not for me this time. It's just hard without Cam or like just to ask questions.
Somebody else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
One of the things that in our roundtable discussion at the AYC, so there was just some things that I thought were really kind of cool. So Dawson has an all electric Zamboni coming, which I thought was really cool. Let's see. There was, I think it was Dawson, anyways, they have, Whitehorse maybe, they have a new website. Somebody else has, Faro has an information newsletter. We had the town crier before, what happened to that?
Yeah,
It's gone to the wayside. There was the discussion about doing a quarterly, there was discussion about doing biannual, there was some discussion about providing some paper copy of information, which we could probably revisit, because I do think it has value.
Yeah, I do too. I think that there is some value in that. One thing that I thought was really cool is Faro. They've had conversations with the land branch who has turned over residential industrial lots to the Faro municipality because they feel that they can better manage them, which I thought was really cool. Truth and Reconciliation, Whitehorse is doing a Truth and Reconciliation flag rising. They have some orange with feathers on their streets, which I think is cool. Yeah, so things like that I thought were kind of neat that they're doing in other communities.
All right.
I don't know, Lauren, if you had anything else in that respect, but not for me. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Paquette. I just had a couple things because I attended the chamber meeting today. Things we discussed were their highway signage and the potential for the town to assume that asset.
Which signs are we talking about?
The advertising for businesses. So
I
the
thought the chamber owned those.
chamber does own, and
Oh, okay.
they're interested in handing it over to the
So
municipality.
we would collect the fees for them. and-
Because they have a hard time paying contractors to maintain. And we have the capacity to
Hmm.
maintain, and we could probably have a little bit of income from the businesses. It's not a lot, but they are in disrepair and it doesn't look very nice on the community. The other comment, so there's that, which I can bring forward in the future. And I actually believe Cam has reached out to Jennifer, who is their admin, about that sign thing, and there'd probably be an admin report coming to everybody regarding that.
Mhm.
And then the other was the chamber website. They've had a tough time getting it up and running. They've not got training. They did get funding for the website, but then didn't proceed to get it developed, and nobody wants to maintain it. So they're interested in piggybacking off our website,
Which I thought was the original
which was original,
plan.
which is the original plan.
Okay.
And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe we can put a link into our website without much difficulty. That'll give the listings from all the chamber members.
So if that's all it is, then that's fine, but I mean, if it's like their own website, then are we? Like, is our staff gonna be having to maintain their website if it's just like a link to something?
And
Like, if
with,
they don't have anybody who's willing to, I mean, obviously we can discuss this later, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that we should definitely look into that because it's of value to have that information provided when people are looking into lots of like. And if they can't decide how they want to operate that or get people to do it, then we might as well help them or help get that moving in the right direction. You know,
so is the funding that they got for that then gonna transfer over to town for the admin fees to sort of maintain that and keep that up and running?
I'm sure that, well, we could discuss that. I'm not going to say yes or no.
No, I mean, I'm just putting that out there too.
Yeah.
Like if they haven't exhausted those funds, that potentially to explore that.
I just wanted to update you with what I heard.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Okay. We have no in-camera information. Next on the agenda is adjournment,
No, we have, oh, not this one.
committee of the whole.
Sorry, I was thinking gallery, sorry.
Yeah. Adjournment.
Adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor Slater. Yeah. Enter, all in favor, carry. Thank you, everybody. Next meeting is October 4th.
There was,
No, just kidding. I'm kidding.